All right, we are back for more science. We are going to start wrapping up the scientific method and continuing to do some review. In class this week, we will do another experiment, and then we will take a quiz probably next week. So we are going to review step 3, hypothesis, in terms of variables that you need to understand in order to create your hypothesis and complete an investigation or experiment. So in an experiment, there are 3 variables. Your constant variable, which is anything in the experiment that stays the same. This is oftentimes called the controlled variable as well. You have the independent variable, which is the variable that is chosen to be changed. So this is what you are changing in order to complete your investigation. There can only be one independent variable in an experiment. And finally, the dependent variable is the variable that responds. It is the result or effect of your experiment. So, in your notebooks, you had done this activity. Okay, so we are just going to quick go over the answers to these, and then I'll explain your review for today. So, number 1 was, will using liquid fertilizer make grass grow greener than granulated fertilizer? Our independent variable is the type of fertilizer, granulated to liquid. So those are the 2 different types that we are going to use. So the independent variable is what we are changing. Dependent variable is the grass growing greener. So will the grass grow greener with granulated fertilizer or liquid fertilizer? And then our controlled variables include the amount of fertilizer, the amount of grass, the location of the grass. You can also add the amount of water used to water the grass, many, many things. All right, number 2, does changing the wing shape to make it more narrow affect the distance a paper plane will fly? The independent variable, what we change, is the wing shape, making it more narrow. The dependent variable is the distance the paper plane travels. And you are going to control the type of paper, the person who flies the plane, the amount of strength used when flying the plane, where you're flying the plane. There are many things you could add there. Number 3, how does heat affect the motion of water molecules? So our independent variable is the water temperature. Your dependent variable is the motion of the water molecules. So will the water molecules move faster with heat or slower? And a control variable is the amount of water, what you are holding the water in. So like your pot or your pan, that would be a control. The type of water, like you wouldn't want to use tap water for one and bottled water for the other. There you go. And finally, number 4, how does watching TV during studying affect a student's test grades? Independent variable is watching TV versus not watching TV. So you would study during a time when you are watching TV and study when you are not watching TV. The dependent variable is the test scores, how well you do on the test. The controlled variable would include the student, the amount of time studying, the subject area, the test, those kinds of things. So make sure this is filled out in your science notebook. And then today you are going to continue your practice of independent, dependent, and control or constant variables with the pages that I sent home with you. You will complete these today, and then you need to bring them back to turn them in on your next in-person school day. So if you are a blue kiddo, that means that you would turn this in on Monday. And if you are a green kiddo, you will turn it in on Thursday. All right, so the first activity is a cut and match activity. So you will need scissors and glue, okay? And you are going to cut the variables out, these here, and glue them onto the mat. Okay, so the first column would be the types of variables. So in this column, you're going to put independent, constant, and dependent, because those are the 3 types of variables. Okay, so the bolded words, independent variable, constant variable, and dependent variable go in this column. Then you're going to look at your cutouts and you are going to find the definition for each of those types of variables. So for independent variable, you would find the definition and glue it next to where you had placed independent variable. Then you are going to determine what examples you have for those types of variables. So the experiment that you are using, okay, is if changing the surface of the floor, or how changing the surface of the floor affects the distance a ball travels. Okay, so you are putting the ball down the ramp, and then does the surface that the ball is rolling on affect the distance it is able to travel? So what are you going to keep the same? What is dependent upon what you change? What are your results, your effect? And then what is your independent variable? So what is it that you are changing in the experiment? So you will cut those and you will paste them into the appropriate columns. Just make sure that you are using these labels at the top. So types of variables, these should all be types of variables. Definition, this column should all be definitions. Example should all be examples. And we will check them when you turn them in. And then your second variable activity for today is to look at these pictures and determine the independent variables, the dependent variables, and the constant variables in this experiment. So the the question was, which material is the best conductor of heat? And the experiment is that they placed a metal, wooden, and plastic spoon. So you have a metal, a wooden, and a plastic spoon in a pot with 100 degrees Celsius water. So you attach the red bead to butter placed on the spoon and record the time it takes for the beads to fall after the butter begins to melt. So you need to determine what things are you going to keep the same, what are you changing, and what are you looking to see? What is your result, your effect? Okay, so constant variables. One constant variable is that you are going to use the same water, right? All 3 of them are being boiled at 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so there, I just gave you a hint. What are you changing? If you look at the picture and read the description, you have metal spoon, wooden spoon, plastic spoon. So you would be changing the type of. And then what is the dependent variable? What are you looking for? Right? What is it that you're trying to figure out? And what is going to happen when you use your 3 different types of spoons? So this is your practice for today. You have the cut and match activity And then you are using this spoon experiment to determine the constant, independent, and dependent variables. Make sure you complete these as you are turning them in the next time you are in class. Have a great day.